Does anyone want to start?
Me.
Go.
I'll start. Oh, no, Taylor, go.
I'm only going to start because I feel like I might not be so critical. I mean, it looks like we're right on par, but I might have a different opinion of it had I seen the Clone Wars. All I get of Anakin is him being a kid, him being a whiny little biznatch, which seemed to happen over nowhere out of nothing.
Yeah.
If I had Obi-Wan as my mentor, I don't see how that happens. Like, I mean, we get the backstory of Luke's struggle because Anakin's his dad, right? That just begs the question, like, what are your issues? Were you so quickly, like, were just troubled? And he's so whiny. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's like, I'm sorry, every other Jedi has had this set of rules, and I'm sure there are times when we don't think it's fair, but I feel like considering all I have of Anakin is kid, whiny biznatch teenage stage, and then turning dark. It goes down real low for me because I'm like, dang, he really couldn't hack it. Like, he has all this power, but I mean, as terms of Jedi, he barely made it. Like, I don't see him going on these missions and mentoring Ahsoka and being someone who could even mentor someone. I can't imagine him mentoring anyone. That's insane to me hearing that, you know? So it is where it is, and I'm confident with where it is. It's too many Senate scenes, too much just like backstory, and the scenes of him and Padme are beautiful. I love that planet or wherever they are when they're in the field.
Naboo.
You know, the meme.
Italy.
But other than that, yeah, I think if I had maybe seen the Clone Wars, I would see that this is his teenage Ahsoka stage where it starts when she's at the Clone Wars.
Right.
But yeah.
You mentioned, like, what does he have to complain about? Like, he was a slave, but also
True.
he was a pretty positive kid when he was a slave. So, like,
Pod racing and
that's a weird jump. Like, he was a pretty cool kid and, like, understanding and, like, made the most of things, and then he's just kind of obnoxious, yeah?
Mommy issues.
right?
He left his mom.
As soon as he
At a
falls in
very
love,
young
he's
age.
got issues. Yeah. I mean, isn't Padme who like helped take him from his home?
She was there, yeah.
So like
I think Qui-Gon's the one
just
that
kinda
kind of
jumped on.
abducted him, but yeah.
That, which is a very Jedi thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got powers? You're with us now.
No more family for you.
Yeah.
I'll say, like, I think, like, the core of his character is, like, he has all this power and can't use it. And when he was a kid, they were like, yes, little 8-year-old, you can get in the giant fast machine and risk your life. And now they're all like, no, you can't do that. So, I don't know, maybe there's, like, a little bit something there. He almost has, like, less freedom
Yeah.
than when he was a slave.
Sure.
He's not allowed to love. Like, they keep telling him that, and he is in love.
Exactly,
so that,
right?
Yeah.
One of the mistakes of the Jedi. When I was younger, this movie was much lower for me. I loved the cool action scenes, but now, being older, being in a relationship, etc., this movie hits in a different way. And a lot. This was the movie with a lot of talking, and I dislike that less now being older. Also, a lot of cool lightsaber action. Like, kind of throughout. Jango Fett fight. The whole Camino stuff with the clones.
Yeah.
The Geonosis battle. And then the epic ending of this movie with Dooku.
Yeah. And Yoda.
And Yoda.
I still remember seeing that in theaters and people laughing. Because it was just
Really?
like, what is happening? We have never seen this before.
That's so weird.
Yoda had been a character for 30 years almost. Nobody knew he could move like that.
Maya?
When I think of this movie, I think less of Anakin in this movie and more of like that stuff, like the fight with Count Dooku and Yoda, and then the Clone Wars and
The Geonosis battle with all the sand and the lasers going back and forth.
Yes. I think more of that stuff, and I think that's what I like about this movie. But yeah, he is whiny a little bit in this movie.
Is he hot in this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say
Yeah, can't argue with
Okay,
that.
all right.
We all have bad days.
Exactly, right?
Let a man show his emotions.
Yo,
Yeah.
he's in love. He's in love and he can't have her.
He was showing his emotions before it was like cool.
Oh, for sure. I was just curious if you guys like the short hair and the rat tail more, or like the long wavy locks better.
He pulls off both.
Okay, good.
He pulls off both. Thank you. Yeah. I was gonna say something I forgot. It's fine.
Think about
I'm
it.
sorry.
Yeah.
Threw you off with the hotness.
Distracted.
I don't know why I want
No,
to say
think
this,
about
but
that.
it's in my mind and I just want to put it on tape or whatever. This is the first movie I ever remember going and peeing during for some reason. I definitively remember missing part
Wow.
of like the Camino scene. But all of the
That's
prequels
wild.
I saw in theaters, like when they were initially released, that's the only thing I remember about seeing this movie for the first time. I've seen it many more times since. I would say of all the prequels, for some reason, this one feels the most dated, even though it's a few years after episode 1. I feel like the CGI, like green screen in this movie just looks worse.
There's way more green screen and CGI in this than
Yeah.
in 1.
Okay. That makes sense then.
They went more practical with that. And
yeah.
then the CG got better in 3. So this is in that like awkward space.
Yeah. I like this movie. I think it's boring of all of the like main core 6 movies compared to those, but yeah, I enjoy it. There's a lot of parts I like. The whole, not even the lightsabers, but the fight scene on Geonosis with like the animals I thought was kind of cool. That weird kind of like
Yes,
cat thing
I
and
love
the
that
big
scene.
dragonfly or whatever thing, that stuff was fun.
I have that toy. That's the thing
I
we found. I literally have the arena.
Do
My
you?
dad bought me, he used to get me all of the action figures and all of these little, I don't know what the line was, but at Toys R Us, when they drop new stuff, he'd be there getting them. And the only thing I remember is I had the poles that you'd
Yeah.
stick them together and
Yeah.
then you could hook the hands up and they had the little animals, like action figures in
That's
that
so
set.
cool.
And like, I remember that's just the only thing where I was like, this is kind of cool, like animals.
Yeah. An origin story for Boba Fett that I think fits and works.
Yes.
I think that's very cool.
I agree.
Yeah.
Why is everything connected? Because it is. Get over it.
That this is where it came from. Yeah, I hate that argument.
My one shout out to the haters.
Yeah. Maya, did you remember what you were going to say?
I was just gonna say about Anakin, like part of the reason maybe he was so whiny too is like he now got like when he was a slave, he was like a nobody. He thought he was just, that was his life. And then now all of a sudden you're being told you're the chosen one. You're supposed to be the best of all of us, but like here are all these things you can't do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like maybe that'll get to someone's head. That was the only thing I was gonna add about why it does make sense that he might be a little whiny, but I agree it's too much. And I like him more in Clone Wars than I think in 2.
I'll say like he can clearly see his abilities. It's kind of like an athlete who's like, you're the next coming, and then you get put on a team and you're like, but you have to wait your turn, and it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And the whole wrinkle of how if he had been trained by Qui-Gon, everything would have gone differently. Right? Obi-Wan was a brother, but not the father that he needed. And that can
Right.
play a role.
Interesting. Wow.